Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Literary Lutheran Reads the Book of Concord. Today is Thursday, and for those of you playing the home game, we will be reading from section 232 to 247. Yes, 247, still going through the seventh commandment. Now, since this commandment is so far-reaching as just indicated, it is necessary to teach it well and to explain it to the common people. Do not let them go on in their greed and security, but always place before their eyes God's wrath and instill the same. For we must preach this not to Christians, but chiefly to hoods and scoundrels. It would be more fitting for judges, jailers, or Master Hans, the executioner, to preach to them. Therefore, let everyone know his duty at the risk of God's displeasure. He must do no harm to his neighbor, nor deprive him of profit, nor commit any act of unfaithfulness or hatred in any bargain or trade. But he must also faithfully preserve his property for him, secure and promote his advantage. This is especially true when one accepts money, wages, and one's livelihood for such service. Now the person who greedily despises this commandment may indeed pass by and escape the hangman, but he shall not escape God's wrath and punishment. Galatians chapter 6, verses 7 to 8, and 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. When he has long practiced his defiance and arrogance, he shall still remain a tramp and beggar. In addition, he will have all plagues and misfortune. Now you are going your own way, though you ought to preserve the property of your master and mistress. For your service you fill your throat and stomach, take your wages like a thief, and have people treat you like a nobleman. For there are many that are even rude toward their masters and mistresses, and are unwilling to do them a favor or service by which to protect them from loss. But consider what you will gain. When you have come into your own property and are set up in your home, to which God will help with all misfortunes, your earlier misdeeds will bob up again and come home to you. You will find that where you have cheated and done injury at the value of 1 mite, you will have to pay 30 again. This will also be the result for craftsmen and day laborers. We are now obliged to hear and suffer such intolerable hatred from them, as though they were noblemen in another's possessions, and everyone is obliged to give them what they demand. Just let them continue making their demands as long as they can. God will not forget his commandment. He will reward them just as they have served. He will hang them, not upon a green gallows, but upon a dry one. So all their life they shall neither prosper nor gather anything. Indeed, if there were a well-ordered government in the land, such greediness might soon be checked and prevented. That was a custom in ancient times among the Romans. There, such characters were promptly seized by the head in a way that caused others to take warning. No more shall all the rest prosper who change the open free market into a flesh pit of extortion and a den of robbery. Luke chapter 19, verse 46. Where the poor are daily overcharged and where new burdens and high prices are imposed. Everyone there uses the market according to his whim. He is even defiant and brags as though it were his fair privilege and right to sell his goods for as high a price as he pleases, and no one had a right to say a word against it. We will indeed look on and let these people skin, pinch, and hoard, but we will trust in God, who will do the following. After you have been skinning and scraping for a long time, he will pronounce such a blessing on your gains that your grain in the silo, your beer in the cellar, and your cattle in the stalls shall perish. Luke chapter 12, verses 16 to 21. Yes, where you have cheated and overcharged anyone for even a florin, your entire pile of wealth shall be consumed with rust, so that you shall never enjoy it. Matthew chapter 6, verse 19, James chapter 5, verses 1 to 3. Indeed, we see and experience this being fulfilled daily before our eyes. No stolen or dishonestly acquired possession thrives. How many there are who rake and scrape day and night, and yet grow not a farthing richer. Though they gather much, they must suffer so many plagues and misfortunes that they cannot enjoy it with cheerfulness, nor leave it to their children. But since no one cares, and we go on as though it did not concern us, God must visit us in a different way and teach us manners by imposing one taxation after another. Or he must billet a troop of soldiers upon us. In 1 hour they empty our money boxes and purses and do not quit as long as we have a farthing left. In addition, by way of thanks, they burn and devastate house and home, and they outrage and kill wife and children. In short, if you steal much, you can expect that much will be stolen from you. He who robs and gets by violence and wrong will submit to one who shall act the same way toward him. For God is master of this art. Since everyone robs and steals from one another, God punishes one thief by means of another. Or else where would we find enough gallows and ropes? Now whoever is willing to be instructed, let him know that this is God's commandment. It must not be treated as a joke, for although you despise, defraud, steal, and rob us, we will indeed manage to endure your arrogance, suffer, and, according to the Lord's Prayer, forgive and show pity. Matthew chapter 6, verse 12. For we know that the godly shall nevertheless have enough. Psalm 37, verse 25. But you injure yourself more than another. Beware of this. The poor man will come to you. There are so many now. He must buy things with the penny of his daily wages and live upon it. When you are harsh to him, as though everyone lived by your favor, and you turn him away with pride and arrogance, to whom you ought to give things without payment, he will go away wretched and sorrowful. Since he can complain to no one else, he will cry and call to heaven. Psalm 20, verse 6, Psalm 146, verses 8 to 9. Then beware, I say again, as of the devil himself, for such groaning and calling will be no joke. It will have a weight that will prove too heavy for you and all the world. For it will reach him who takes care of the poor, sorrowful hearts. He will not allow them to go unavenged. Isaiah 61, verses 1 to 3. But if you despise this and become defiant, see the one you have brought upon you. If you succeed and prosper, before all the world, you may call God and me a liar. Thank you for watching this episode of the Literary Lutheran Reads the Book of Concord. Have a blessed day.